Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Trying to get set up here a little bit. Okay, I gotta change it to live chat. Gonna go live on TikTok. What a beautiful day, and I'm being totally sarcastic when I say that. Okay, so I know that people will be hopping in here, but for those watching in the future, you don't want to wait. Um, Another update. So Bitcoin should make it up to the 80s again. You know, it should get up there. And yet, and so it makes sense in the moment, in the micro, to be looking to open longs over shorts. But I just have zero confidence opening any longs on altcoins or buying spot. And I will not be doing so until we see a higher high in the altcoin market cap charts, total two, or until we see 91K Bitcoin, whichever comes first. So, hello lobby, good afternoon. I'm assuming it's afternoon in the UK, right? Yeah. Well, closer to evening, whatever. Good afternoon, evening, all of that. So, are you in the UK? I think you're in the UK. Maybe not. I feel like I'm okay doing a little bit of spot buying on certain things. Okay. You know, I mean, yeah, it makes more sense to buy than sell right now. I'm done. I'm tired of buying altcoins expecting a bounce. All right. Yeah. Okay. UK. And so I'm only interested in longing Bitcoin right now. And I am interested in opening shorts on altcoins until we see something change. So I'm not shorting altcoins now. I think that's not a good idea. I want to see a bounce back before shorting altcoins, but I'm a lot more eager to short altcoins right now. Not in this moment, but now-ish, you know? So a couple of concerning things that I'm seeing here. Bitcoin dominance. I was just on a call with somebody, a one-on-one call, and thank you, Nick. On a one-on-one call, and here's my thought. I do think that I no longer think we're putting a new all-time high in 2025. I had hope for early 2025, and I'm sorry if that really upsets you, whatever. But you know, there's plenty of ways that could get invalidated, and so here's a way. I would say that there's a great deal of confidence that we should expect Bitcoin to get up to a few different areas here. There's a lot of confidence in one spot that I have my eyes on right now. So in the middle of this Bollinger Band, 84,000 daily Bollinger. 84,000. This trend line here, you know, we wicked really hard above it, but got rejected. And then the third one would be the CME futures gap at $84,000. Around $84,000. That's where I have a long open on Bitcoin right now. I opened that at 75.6. It's still open. That's where I'd be looking to close that long. That's where I'd be looking to open some shorts. But here's a scenario where I would pause on opening shorts on crypto. It's this. It's let's say Bitcoin dominance goes like this while Bitcoin gets up to 84K. You know, it goes back into this ascending wedge area. Then you know what? I'll be pretty excited. I'll be like, all right, I think we're back on. Thank you, Mortier. I think we're back on. But what I think is going to happen is that Bitcoin dominance is just going to continue to climb, unfortunately. And if that's the case, we get Bitcoin up to 84K and we see Bitcoin dominance doing something like this, you know, I'd be very eager to open shorts on some altcoins at 84K. Not right now. I'm not opening shorts right now. So I am hoping to open some shorts that I could just hold on to for a bit. So again, scenario number one, Bitcoin, whatever, Bitcoin dominance, or Bitcoin gets up to 84K, Bitcoin dominance goes down. I'd be pretty hopeful. 84K, Bitcoin dominance goes up. I'm looking to short a lot of things, and I would expect that to be another lower high, unfortunately, and that on the next move after that, we would lose the 50-week moving average, which is around 75.6, and maybe we would establish some support between the 2021 peak and the early 2024 peak range there for a bit, and then lose that and range here for a bit between the all-time high monthly close. We spent a long time in this range, and then I'm sorry, I'm expecting us to go further down for the rest of this year. Now, okay, I don't want to keep on hedging everything. I don't want to keep on hedging. What's an invalidation of that? It's like if Bitcoin were to get above 91, I would scratch all of this. I don't think we're going to get $91,000 Bitcoin over the next couple months. But, M2, people are going to argue with me. M2 looks, forward moving, looks like it is increasing right now. So sure, but watch my most recent video that I put on TikTok. It was a short on YouTube. It's something. M2 is something, but it's not everything. And so it'd be great if we just rode along with M2. If that was the case, we'd hit a new all-time high in May or June. So I'm sticking with my plan this time. I did not stick with my plan well enough in December. I sold 40%. I should have sold 90%. So it is what it is. I am live, everybody, on YouTube, World War Bitcoin for view only, member live stream. Foregone, I would not long Uniswap. I would be looking to short altcoins. No more longing altcoins. I am done longing altcoins until 95K Bitcoin. I am only looking for shorts on altcoins. Now, there is a compelling argument to be made. It is at the very bottom of its daily Bollinger Band level. If you were looking for a scalp, that would be a good level to long, but I'm not touching it. Good luck to you. All right, Cray and Dave, I'm more bullish for the end of 2025, start of 2026. Feel more convinced we are getting the pain now rather than later. Correct. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that statement. I'll also say this. Net liquidity as opposed to M2. There we go. Here's the S&P. Oh, wait. No, I switched to something else. All right, S&P 500. So here's what I think would happen if Kamala was president right now. This would have still been the peak. February 19th would have been the peak. But, Trump's accelerating it. So February 19th, S&P peaked at like 6,100. Now it's at 5,100, lost almost 20%. So here's what I think would have happened if Kamala was president right now, is essentially just moving this trend line. Maybe we would have bounced off the 200-day, got rejected. Another bounce off the 200-day, got rejected, and then just kept on moving down. The stock market would be higher right now if Kamala was president, no doubt about that. But I think the bottom would be the same. The top and the bottom would be the same, just on different timelines if Kamala was president right now. So we're accelerating this, not financial advice. And here we are now. So my assumption is we are going to make a move with the S&P 500 to a lower high here. And whenever we get there, I'm going to be shorting the S&P 500. How do I do that? I'll buy, maybe I'll buy some puts. I don't like buying puts because of the premium. I'll probably buy an inverse ETF, not a leveraged ETF. Those things are garbage, but an inverse ETF. And then here's the rest of the year, in my opinion, just lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, until, you know, either something breaks or rates bottom out and the money printers turn back on again. So this is where we are right now. I'll be if Bitcoin's at 84,000 or wherever, you know, if Bitcoin's between 84 and 88, and we see the S&P get to this trend line here, I'll be very interested in shorting. Very interested in shorting crypto. So anyway, I don't feel comfortable trading anything in this climate. Things feel super reactive. I think that's a good call, Dave. I'm not long right now. It makes sense to long more than short, and I'm not longing except for the Bitcoin long that I opened at the 200-week move or at the 50-week moving average. I opened that long that was at 75.6. I'm still in it. Going to hold on to that until the 80s, I think. But other than that, I have no interest in longing crypto, and these levels are not good for shorting crypto. And then if we did see some kind of delay on the tariffs, the markets would pump. And so shorts are not a good idea right now. So the markets would pump, but where would they pump? In my opinion, they would pump to a level to where people would start thinking we're back on, and then that would be a lower high. So I'm sorry to say all this stuff. I mean, I did have more hope for, I mean, this entire time I was convinced that February 19th for the S&P was the peak, but I was hopeful that we would get up to 6,000 in the S&P, and then Bitcoin has been outperforming the S&P. Let me find that chart. It's been outperforming the S&P. It's been outperforming the NASDAQ. Bitcoin, you know, in comparison to the S&P, Bitcoin looks pretty good. So we got to move up to a lower high in the S&P. I think Bitcoin would outperform that. But that lower high is probably going to be lower than I initially hoped. So Bitcoin doing well in comparison to the S&P. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands. They're just kind of ugly. And very much outperforming the NASDAQ. You know, Bitcoin over between the end of February and today looks like it's in an uptrend against the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ, you know, if the NASDAQ were to rally to the same level, a rejection point, a point of rejection, that's what, a 10% gain? Is that right? No, not a 10% gain. More like an 8% gain. If Bitcoin were to, or if the NASDAQ were to have an 8% gain, I would expect Bitcoin to have like a 12 to 15% gain. So 12 to 15%. What is that? I'm blanking right now. So let's say Bitcoin's at 78. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 78 right now. So let's be optimistic. Let's say 15%. So 78,000. All right. Times 1.5% would be the gain. $11,700. That puts us at 89. A little under 90. So I think that's what we have. That's what we would have ahead of us. And then I'm going to be looking to exit the altcoins that I bought over the last 3 weeks, which fortunately I didn't buy a ton because I saw, you know, we pumped into tariff day, liberation day, so-called liberation day. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to wait for a dip. And then I was like, I didn't really buy the dip all that much. So, all right, I bought a little bit of Google yesterday at 147 in case we get a strong correction rally. That's probably a good one. I don't pay attention to the Google chart all that much. What's there? Yeah, Goog, Alphabet. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I did the same thing with Nvidia a few weeks ago. I made a nice 5% gain on it. I'll take it. Will Johnson, do you watch Raoul Pal? He thinks we go higher this year. Most recent video had loads of macro charts, was quite compelling, but who knows? Yeah, I watched, I don't watch all of his stuff, but I've watched his content before. He pays attention to manufacturing a lot. And he says that that's the biggest driver of Bitcoin, the biggest correlator of Bitcoin's price. And I did find his argument to be compelling, but the video that I watched, it was a 2-hour video. It was from earlier, from 6 months ago or so. And I really liked some of his charts, some of his projections, but then I tweeted that a kind of an amendment to his projections, which was more along the outlook of 2026 being being the bull run, not 2025. And he responded to me. He did say there's lots of flexibility with his outlook. So I think Raul Pal is wrong if he's thinking 2025, unfortunately. And I tread lightly when I say that. He's a smarter man than I am, for sure. But between when I tweeted at him and he responded, between then and now, I have been much more accurate than he is, because some of his projections for where Bitcoin would be they're much higher than anything I would have said for 2025, even in the most bullish scenario. So, all right, Fartcoin. Is Fartcoin worth buying now, or are we not buying anything right now? I kind of like Fartcoin. The chart looks bullish. My concern is this could just be a double top. And so I'd wait. I would wait. Would you buy altcoins or just Bitcoin for the 2026 run? Oh, I would be buying altcoins for sure, especially if we're in quantitative easing. Oh yes, I'll be buying altcoins. The right ones. Some of them, if I'm right and Bitcoin goes to $30,000, some of these altcoins are going to die and they're never going to come back. So, all right. To be fair, I don't think the S&P goes much lower than where it went. I'm only expecting it to get down around 42 to 45. All right, so it got to 61. That's a 21, or a little higher than a 25% drop, closer to 30% if we get to 42.50. Maybe we only go that low. I wouldn't complain. Well, no, I mean, yeah, we're at 51 right now. That makes sense. I want to look up the S&P in 2022, because I think what we have coming next is worse than 2022. Or what we're in the middle of right now, I should say, is worse than 2020. Is going to be worse than 2022. And I've been saying that for a while. So how far down did we go? Let's see here. It was a 27% drop. 27% in the S&P. So what would a move down to 42? Let's say that your worst case scenario, Dave, 42 would be 42.50. Around 30%, 31%. Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's where we bottom. We still have a decent amount of time. Do you think short term until June we are bullish? I do not. Nope. I've already shared that perspective. Foregone, if you want to watch the replay on YouTube after this, I opened up. I opened with that mindset. And Saad, I did look at Bitcoin dominance. So what would invalidate my thoughts right now? Because I'm very much wanting to look for invalidations, and forgive the terrible drawings here. So Bitcoin dominance breaking through the 702 retrace here from its 2021 peak to its bear market bottom. It just broke through the 702, and red candle today. Yay, okay, but I tend to think that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to climb, which is not good for altcoins, especially if Bitcoin's going to go down from here. That's really bad for altcoins. But, and so again, so what I say earlier in this live stream, I said around 84,000, there's a lot of resistance for Bitcoin. So I might be looking to exit a fair amount at that point, not on Bitcoin, but on altcoins. But here's the invalidation. If Bitcoin dominance does this instead on a move up to 84K where it goes down, then this whole thing right here is a false breakout. This whole, let me add something here. Just a circle. This right here is a false breakout. That's, so we'll see. But in my opinion, it's going to go up. If things get really bad and there's no intervention by Powell, we probably test the bottom of the 2022 bear. Wow. Wow. Are you saying that? I'm assuming you're saying that for this S&P and not for Bitcoin. Because there are people who I follow who have been very accurate who think we're going lower than the 2022 bear market for Bitcoin. So let's say, all right, no intervention by Powell, which I think he will intervene. The bottom of the 2022 bear puts us at 3,500 in the S&P. That's crazy. It's possible. That's not even a 50% drop. Down 40% on ICP. Do you think it can come back or take loss now? I don't love the idea of taking losses right now. I would take losses. I would take losses. I would definitely take losses. But, you know, maybe let's draw this out right here. Maybe some kind of move to a lower high. 520-ish, you know, and then down. So I know, guys, I know it's really painful to sell at a loss. But I am telling you, until we break this downtrend, we can go much lower. Even though these altcoins are below, you know, are a lot of them are at bear market bottom levels. We can go much lower. I'm not selling Bitcoin, no. That's the only thing I'm not selling. The only thing I would never, I gave a scenario as to when I would sell, even consider selling my Bitcoin. It's north of $200,000. I will hold on to my Bitcoin. Dude, what's up with my filter? Okay, never mind. Dave, you're not the only one who disagrees about 30K. And I'm okay if everyone disagrees with me. I hope you're right. And you don't need to say it like that. I actually disagree. It's like, yeah, that's fine. You can disagree. Most people disagree with me on that. Well, today started out well. We'll see where we go from here. HEEHEE to $1, then I will be a millionaire. Otherwise, no. Okay. How do I get rid of this thing? Okay, there we go. Oh, it wasn't harsh, Dave. It was just like, hey, you know, it was, feel free to disagree, man. Let's all enjoy disagreeing together. All right. So a little bit of a surprise today, seeing Bitcoin where it is. Like I said, I mean, I'm expecting at least a, you know, let's fill that CME futures gap at least. And then again, you know, any signs of we're gonna delay the tariffs, then Bitcoin will pump. You guys remember yesterday, Bitcoin shot up to $81,000 on a rumor that Trump was considering a 90-day delay. And then it turned out to be fake news. And then it was like, oh, never mind. And then, you know, things went back down. Yeah, Dave, I've heard that argument before. I think we just spent too long accumulating that range to lose it, and buyers would step in at the bottom of the range. So my mindset is we're probably, if we do get to $30,000, we're probably going to range between 50 and 60 for quite a while and then lose it. Okay. I highly doubt that there's anything that I'm going to want to do in the trading spreadsheet, but I'm going to open up my trading spreadsheet or my trading journal. Oh, it's already on here. So just a reminder, zero confidence opening any longs on altcoins, even though we're at a level that we should be looking to open longs. I have zero interest in it right now. I will not be doing so until we see a higher high in the charts or until we see Bitcoin at $95,000. I'm looking to short. On any pumps, I'm looking to short Bitcoin. Or not Bitcoin, altcoins. So if there are no requests, I'm going to plow through here. Going to start with Aave. Aave. Oh, man. Let me extend. I mean, that downtrend was broken so long ago, and then it just kept on riding down. So, yeah, 134 would have been a great point to, should have been a great point to long, but then we had that huge dump on Sunday. And so then it went down. I drew this level, 113. I drew that a long time ago. You know, maybe that's a perfect level of resistance there, 134. Yeah, Saad, I saw that. CME Fed Watch is giving less of a chance of lowering rates. So I'm typing in 134 SR flip. Could be resistance moving forward. I think if we see 30K, then the markets are done for a few years, like a major downturn. I'm open to that possibility. I'd be okay with that. I know most people wouldn't, but if Bitcoin's at 30K, let's just think through this. If Bitcoin does go to 30K, what would Ethereum get to? Easily under 1,000. Even though, you know, Ethereum got barely under 1,000 in the 2022 bear market, it would go below its 2022 bear market bottom. I'm convinced of it. And then, you know, Solana, if Bitcoin were to go to 30K, Solana would be at like $30, maybe lower than that. Avalanche, I could see Avalanche easily under $5, given where Bitcoin's dominance is right now. And then that sounds pretty appealing to me if we just see those flatline for a little bit to just be accumulating those cryptos. I mean, I don't want to touch Ethereum even now or even then, but accumulation is long and boring and everyone thinks it's dead, it's over. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to make money under that scenario. I know of people who are saying it's going to go a lot lower than that. And these are people who called the peak in December. So let me look at Cardano. I lost on this trade, unfortunately. It happens. You lose on trades. You know, I had it, what I thought was, it was a really good entry. It was a perfect entry in comparison to, you know, lots of confluence, lots of support there. And I was up on it for a while. But then on Sunday, it got stopped out. I actually closed it right before it got stopped out. Saved a few bucks, but so would you buy ETH at like $500? If ETH was at $500, I'd buy other stuff that I'd be more interested in. So now it seems likely to me that Cardano is going to go down at least to 46 cents. And if it were to get up to 76, 67 cents, that would be heavy resistance. So what does this look like? I want to be clear about something. I think, let's say that Cardano, let's say that news dropped tomorrow that the tariffs are going to get delayed. I think Cardano on that news would go like this. It would go boom and get rejected right there and then just continue down. And I think on that move up, I think a lot of people are unfortunately going to get sucked in. No, Muhammad T. Ahir, I do not want to go live with you. Sorry, man. So, something like that. Avalanche. I am down on Avalanche. Okay, Avalanche. Avalanche showed some promise, man. It's like this move up here, that's not, well, that you know, I mean, aside from the Trump scam pump there, that you could call that a higher high, but it ended up being a big fake out. So that kind of communicated to me that there was some confirmation here that we were going to go higher, that we were going to be at the start of a new move higher. But nope. Just, maybe if it wasn't for the tariffs, the Liberation Day, that big shock to the system, maybe we would be about to move higher. So now this is kind of like no touch zone for me. Like short term, can it go higher? Sure. Yeah. But I don't want to long any altcoins right now. I'm tired of that. I need to take care of something real quick. That's the old Oprah Winfrey music. Okay, I'm good. All right. Bitcoin Cash, another one that looked really strong at one point, and now it's lost support, not looking nearly as strong. So what do we do with Bitcoin Cash? I would say this was a huge level of support. This 293 to 298 level was support. It was resistance in 2023, and then it became a huge level of support in 2024, and still remained as a level of support in 2025, and it just lost that support. Had its second daily close. All right, it did have a few daily closes in February. but you know, now it's well below. So I think 293 to 298 would be a place to short Bitcoin Cash. I'll get to you in a second, Cody. All right, so we have a couple questions here. Have you switched your macro lower high thesis, expecting straight down now? I'm expecting a lower high. A lower high that is lower than what I initially thought. Now I'm somewhat low conviction right now because I did give you guys a two lines in the sand. One was the 50-week moving average. 50-week moving average has not been breached yet for Bitcoin. If we have a weekly close below there, then I'm straight up done. I'm just, yeah. But I expect a move back up to the 80s at least. And 84, there's a lot of resistance there. So I'd be interested in selling some of my crypto at that level. How much I haven't figured it out yet. And then again, I did mention this already in the live stream, Bitcoin dominance. If Bitcoin dominance moves down on a move up, it does a fairly decent move down on a move up to $84,000. I'm going to think that this was, that it's game on. So I wouldn't be as interested in selling at that point. If Bitcoin dominance moves up on a move to $84,000 Bitcoin, then I will be selling a great deal of my crypto. So you think they sell everything at a loss? Some I'm down 40 to 50%. Yeah, under the scenario where Bitcoin dominance goes up and Bitcoin makes its way up to $84,000, not financial advice, I think it would be a good idea to sell even at a loss. And some of you hearing that, it's repulsive. You are repulsed by that. But altcoins can go much lower. They can go much lower than you're thinking. I just don't want I want to preserve my wealth, preserve my Jinja, I understand. Yeah. It's what do we say about this? Yeah, thank you. Listen, let me share with you an example. In 2021, so between 2020 and 2021, I saw an 8x in my portfolio. Nothing huge, I mean, by other people's standards at least, but I was happy with that. But that was from when I initially bought in 2020 to the peak in 2021. I saw an 8x. And then I just kept on holding. And then I had to sell almost all of my crypto to put a huge down payment on a house and get my sick daughter out of the house that we were living in because it was slowly killing her. And so when I sold, I was still, I think, like 3x instead of 8x. I was 3x. If I held on, it would have been more than a complete round trip. And then, if I held on, I would have been, I might not have even gotten back to 8x because of some altcoin performances, but it would have been fine, but I wasn't able to hold on. And I fear that something similar is going to happen this time around too. My friend Lucas, the blockchain boy, he said he's round tripped millions of dollars, and I believe it. So it's a gamble. It's easy money. Easy money is always dangerous. It's always the biggest way that you can get the most wrecked. Now again, okay guys, here it is. I'm laying my cards out on the table. I don't want to speak too negatively yet. Lower high in Bitcoin dominance, or sorry, a move down in Bitcoin dominance with a move up in Bitcoin's price, it's game on. Looking at global M2, watch my most recent video. Global M2 is increasing. I made an argument that that's not the entire playbook. Would you get out of spot ETH? That's a tough one. It's tougher than other ones because there is a lot of institutional buying of Ethereum even now. So my answer is Ethereum, yes. Again, Bitcoin. Let's say Bitcoin gets up to $84,000 and we see Bitcoin's dominance rise. I would get out of spot Ethereum, yeah. But that's one of the more difficult ones, believe it or not. So, all right, let me look at Binance. I'm very curious about BNB and about Tron. Ooh. Actually, I'm going to look at Tron real quick. Tron's a beast, man. Tron seems to be unaffected. Staking and writing it out depends on the crypto. I wouldn't be too excited about doing that. Oh my goodness, what is up with Tron? Yeah, it depends on the crypto. Maybe not Ethereum. Do you follow Josh Rhodes? He always seems reasonable. He thinks we're getting a huge run soon. I have no idea who that is. I would sell AVAX if that's what you're asking. Wait, Josh Rhodes, I might actually be friends. Is he on TikTok? I might be friends with him. All right, I would probably sell 60% and consolidate into high conviction long-term holds for the remaining 40%. That's not a bad idea, yeah. So what's up with Tron? It's just holding up a lot better than other cryptos. But this scenario where it keeps on bouncing off the support and then just like putting in lower highs. Oh yeah, invest with Josh. Yeah, I really like his content. And yeah, I like him a lot and he's very confident. I just disagree right now. I disagree. He talks a lot about M2. And so I wasn't thinking of him when I made this video, but I gave a rebuttal to that in my video talking about M2. All right, let me look at BNB. All right, so AVAX, I did already look at AVAX. It's just in a no-touch zone for me. And the reason why is just, man, you would call this a higher high. It got up to $24 and it looked really good. And then it took back all those gains. And then I think, if it wasn't for those Trump tariffs, then, if it was just normal tariffs announced on quote unquote Liberation Day, I think we would have formed a higher low with Avalanche, but then everything dumped. So he's never been a mega bull, but he is now. Some hopium. That sounds great. Here's what I want to see to actually agree with him. I want to see it in the charts. Okay, the charts are not showing us any sign, any reason to be hopeful right now. Let me look at total too. That might give us the clearest picture. And I want to look at the RSI. Is there any, there's not a bullish divergence here with RSI. Yeah, Tron heavily used by Chinese market. It's big in Asia. I don't know how much about China. So, all right, bullish divergence at all with the total two. I don't see it. RSI does keep dipping, putting in lower lows as the price is putting in lower lows. So I think that's something we need to see. We need to see some strength. We need to see at least a bullish divergence in the total altcoin market cap. And then I'll be more willing to be on board with Josh. But as of right now, there's nothing in the charts that would confirm a reason to be bullish. Now, that could change at any point. At any point, that could change. But, you know, last week, I would say I had hope that we were forming a higher low. And then we just flushed right through. So BNB, what's my new, this is, all right, what are we going to do here with BNB? If we're interested at all in BNB, if there was an altcoin that I would be willing to buy right now, it might be Binance, honestly. I mean, it's still hanging around a more than 1 year range. Yeah, market's 180 from the open. I see that. It's really depressing. But really, the bottom of this range is 490. I'd hold off from now on. It's fascinating here because you can say Binance is just in a big triangle formation. So that seems like one of the safer cryptos. So BNB, bottom of the range, might be worth loading up on. That's all I'm going to say. Bitcoin, again, waiting for a move up to 84,000. We'll reevaluate at that time based off of Bitcoin dominance. I see that chart and just think it has further to fall. Yeah, you know, it reminds me a little bit of Solana. Hello, Rob. What point would I consider buying stock same time frame as crypto? Probably. I'm more willing to buy stocks because I have such a longer term mindset with stocks that I might just, you know, I wouldn't have a problem buying stocks, some stocks, all the way down, especially, you know, getting dividends and stuff like that. But so comparison BNB and Solana, I mean, Solana, man, this was a 1 year range for Solana and it very clearly lost it. And there was some weakness early March, but now, so like, Bitcoin, this is the thing that has me disagreeing with Josh Rhodes is, yeah, Bitcoin is still holding above that line in the sand that I was talking about, but nothing else is. Well, you could argue Binance is. So the Asian ones, Binance and Tron, but like Solana just lost support, XRP just lost support. And after a year, so for Solana, after a year of ranging, it just lost support. That doesn't sound too exciting to me. That all of a sudden, nope, fake out. I mean, maybe this is the spring of Wyckoff accumulation. Maybe this was the creek, this downtrend here where it's just following along that yellow line. And maybe this is the spring. That's the best case scenario. So if Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance pumps, times the exit. If Bitcoin pumps and Bitcoin dominance dumps, mini bull run on. That's kind of my mindset, yeah. I have more appetite for buying low inflation, older cryptos that are closer to 2022, 2023 bear market. 100%. I agree with you on that. Like VeChain. Look at where VeChain is. It's right there. You know, 2020. Oh, wait, that's 2024. So it went a little lower. I mean, not much lower in 2022, but VeChain looks good. The graph is fully diluted? Huh. I did not know that. Let me look at GRT. Because I know between 2021 and now, the graph was very highly inflationary. But, you know, maybe they're done with all that dilution. Yeah, maybe this is a good one. But I don't buy bottoms. I try to buy near the bottom, but not at the bottom. All right, Polkadot. I'm afraid to look at the Polkadot chart. $351. Oh, I'm on the Doge page. I was like, what? All right, Polkadot. Yeah, I went lower than my hoped for entry. Yep, Polkadot. That's what I'm looking at, Mar. Okay. Is this below its bear market bottom? Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's not a good sign. Polkadot does not have great tokenomics. This is below the bear market bottom. So where's the floor now? Is the question. If the bear market bottom for one of the top 20 cryptos in existence was not the floor, where's the floor? Very low volume, only seeing selling. Yeah, all right, Dave. Yeah, 90% fully diluted. That might as well be 100%. I mean, maybe we'll just go back to the launch day price for Polkadot. This is insane. I bought Polkadot in 2020. Whoa. And what happened here? Everyone's selling, but I'm buying. You're either the smartest man in this live stream or the dumbest man, Mar. And I mean no insult at all to that. I'm not selling right now, but I'm looking for opportunities to sell. And that's on a pump. All right, Polkadot broke through bear market bottom support. We'll need to find a floor now. Only good for shorting. Yeah, sentiment around DOT has been bad for a while. Yep. Buying a lot, waiting for that last pump, and I'm selling. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm selling a few days after news of something positive with the tariffs. That's probably what I'm going to do. All right, Dogecoin. Man. Yep, still in descent. Was hoping higher, maybe a higher high there. Yeah, let me get to Chainlink in a second. All right, Chainlink probably going down 952. Any pump to about $13, I'm out. And this is really frustrating because I expressed a lot of bullishness on Chainlink on Friday because I was looking at the RSI. Man, oh my goodness. You know, technically, so, well, I'll just say this. If it wasn't for Liberation Day, and this is actually an argument to buy crypto because I've said this before, I'll say it again. Charles H. Dow, the trend is inviolate. All right, this is before 1900. He said this in the 1800s, and it's an age-old truth. There can be manipulation. There can be short-term manipulation, but not enough manipulation to change the trend. And we're really testing that theory right now, that's for sure. But I was really excited about Chainlink because it was showing a lot of strength here, showing a breakthrough, a downtrend in the RSI with a back test, a triple back test of support. And then Liberation Day came and the floor came out from underneath it. So now what? Good time to buy fully diluted crypto that you have high conviction around. It should be. I've just had that mindset. I did that and then I lost money. And so I'd rather buy on the first whiff of any news that that this trade war is ending or something. Yeah, wait 3 to 5 years, yeah. So, I mean, this is, back test of that trend line. Maybe this is the time to buy Chainlink. I just, good luck, man. Yeah, should be going down to 952 at the very least. Maybe even going lower than that. What's the bear market bottom? Oh, much lower. Man, that was a great time to accumulate Chainlink. It's just perfectly within a range for all of 2022 to 2023. A year and a half of a range accumulation. But now, we'll see. Let me look at Jasmy. I already know what I'm going to say because I opened a short on Jasmy today. Jasmy, this is exactly what I'm looking for to short a pump. I see Jasmy pump the way it did earlier today. I'm like, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. I opened it before getting up to resistance here at 0.01228. So I'm up on that short, but I'm down on, I'm currently round tripping some gains. I'm still up on my Bitcoin long. PRP, I did answer your question already on that. I'm assuming you had to go somewhere, but I said yes to that. Yes. I was surprised when I saw that AVAX was still only like 60% in circulation. I hadn't looked until the last week, and I just assumed it would be the most diluted, or most diluted. Yeah. Yeah. I've known that about Avalanche, that it's still pretty. But there is, I'm pretty sure there's a max supply on Avalanche. That's not the case with Solana. But then all these junk coins that launch with Solana They get liquidity locked up, so it's like an unofficial burn. Doge, Ethereum. Ugh. I don't want to look at Ethereum. 1475. Where is this floor? This is insane. This is like it's the second largest crypto. I'm assuming it's still the second largest crypto, and yet everything's been oversold for a long time, Mark, and remain oversold. And yet this thing just can't. It's one of the ugliest charts in crypto, and it's one of the biggest. I mean, it's the second biggest. Good luck catching that knife. Wait, I'm very curious. Fire sale, yeah. I am curious to see. Yeah, Ethereum is still number 2. Oh, it's still pretty clear in number 2. But Tether might become number 2 sometime soon. That's probably what's going to happen, is Tether's going to flip Ethereum. TBF ETH is just back in its 2023, 2024 bear range. Sure. Okay. Can it stop now? That would be nice. Just come on, stop. Go ahead and stop. Oh man, ICP. Thank you, Big D. Where is ICP going? Hey, to be fair, and I'm not making fun of you at all, Dave, but ICP is just right back into its 2022, 2023 range. So therefore, we're good to go, right? Load up on some ICP. I know Ethereum is much more established than ICP. I'm joking. Guys, I still want to short this stuff. I just, even though it's so far down, it can go lower. Let's make money shorting crypto. Why not just open a 1x short? So actually, here's what I did with Jasmine. I opened a 1x short, and then it pumped. I closed my 1x short, and I opened a 3x short. And now I'm up, I've easily made up the losses, and now I'm in profit. And seriously, I just think I'm gonna keep on doing this until we see any kind of strength. And then, I'll set my limit orders, set my stop losses, and keep on moving the stop losses down. But I'm tempted to just do that with ICP right now. Sorry, foregone if you're in the house. Yeah, Dave. So we are speaking 2 different languages. Dave on YouTube is saying, yeah, it can go lower, but arguably there in spot buying ranges if you have a longer term horizon. I am specifically talking about trading. I only care about trading right now. And this is kind of what this live stream is about even, is I'm like, I have my trading journal that I'm writing notes in, and anyone who's a member and a subscriber can gain access to that journal to let you know what I'm thinking through. And there's some resources in there. And that's, so all I'm talking about, you're right. You want to accumulate something like ICP at 450. I think you'll do well. I still have a lot of hope for ICP. Ethereum at 1500. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm focused on the next week, the next couple weeks, something like that. So oh shoot, I did not mean to do that. I've only been spot investing in my first 2 years in crypto, but would love to learn how to trade. So here's the deal with trading. All right, shorting XRP, that's maybe not a bad idea. We did talk about that last week, right? So here's the deal with trading. Here's the big misconception that people have. There are very basic things. If you learn those basic things and then you have a system, thank you, Big D, and then you have a system in place, then you can trade. You can be successful at trading. But here's the problem. You're the 90% of the game with trading is your mind. It is your mindset. It is understanding like your emotions and mastering your emotions so that you don't get wrecked doing some emotional trading at the worst possible time. And I'm still susceptible to this at times. You know, it was a struggle for me on Sunday. Oh my goodness. And I've made a couple of videos talking about this book. I'm going to pull it up. Best Loser Wins by Tom Hugard. I would recommend to all of you to buy this book. Best Loser Wins, and read it. Read it multiple times. Because this is not a trading book in the sense that it's not teaching you technicals. You're not buying this book to learn about technical analysis. You're buying this book to learn how to analyze yourself, basically. So that's what you need. And then you look at just basic structure here, and you know, if there's any one thing to learn, it's market structure. Are we in an uptrend or are we in a downtrend? You look at a chart like ICP, we are very clearly in a downtrend. Just a series of lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and you trade with the trend. You don't trade against the trend. Until you see a break of the trend. All right, Litecoin. All right, I'm seeing something very clearly taking shape here. It's really interesting. There we go. So when am I going to short Litecoin? It would be amazing if Litecoin could pump up to $80 like in the next couple of days. I'd open an aggressive short at that level. It's probably not going to happen though. I mean, this is one where I would be looking at the Bollingers. I mean, Bollinger's upper band is so much higher than where the price is right now. So that's not going to be all that helpful now that I'm thinking about it. So a short at $80 would be ideal, but not sure if it's going to get there. All right, we got Quant next. 59.88. Man. I'm struggling with greed right now, but in the opposite direction. It's like I really want these cryptos to pump so I can short them, given where we are right now, but they're not pumping. So I just have to sit on my hands and wait, and the waiting is, that's a part of the mentality. There's nothing here. What are you going to do with quant? I mean, hey, you want to buy quant for some long-term holding? This is a good level. Bear market bottom, still well above its bear market bottom, $40. So there is that. Solana, man. Where did stochastic go? I don't remember getting rid of it. It's not gone. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I minimized it. Okay. There it is. So, like I said with Solana, it just lost a 1-year range. That's not a good sign. Even though Bitcoin is still above its 200, it's 200, its 50-week moving average. Solana and XRP were kind of our last two major areas of hope, and they've both lost their ranges. So now, I think Solana is going to go a lot lower after a hopeful, relief pump. After that, I do think Solana is going to go lower from here. $126 is now a perfect level of resistance if Solana can get that high. Sui, my last notes. Oops. Might be the start of a new uptrend, but not touching it for now. Oh, well. Liberation Day, everybody, boys and girls. Liberation Day. Now that I'm looking at Sui, oh, man, I'm not going to long it. But it still, despite all the insanity right now, has not closed below its range, or it's below this liquidity zone, and it's right at the bottom of that liquidity zone. You want to scalp it? I'd sell a limit order at 191.56, something like that, 1.9156. But I'm sticking with my game plan. I am not longing altcoins right now, even now. I will long Bitcoin, only Bitcoin, right at this moment. Are you holding any altcoins for spot? At the moment, yes. But I'm not. I'm interested in selling. I'm waiting for a pump, which is pretty torturous right now, trying to wait for that pump. And then I'm going to sell my altcoins. And then, it's not like I'm just going to be out. It's just I'm going to be trading. All I'm going to do is trade. I'm done with spot. So if there's some charts that I like that have good setups, I'll long or I'll buy. But otherwise, I'm pretty much done with spot of anything other than Bitcoin and HEEHEE. This is really fascinating looking at the Asian coins. Sorry, Tron. What? You know? It's like Tron did not get the memo. It really hasn't gotten the memo this entire time. Tron is still above its 2021 peak. I was going to say all-time high, but it launched at a much higher price, and then Justin Sun rugged us. Didn't rug me. I didn't buy any of it, but don't sleep on Tron, man. So amazingly, this has held its support, but each bounce is getting smaller. When do you see the pump coming? We are at the mercy of Donald Trump, the Federal Reserve, or some major player around the world, whether that's China, which good luck with that, or the European Union. We need to see something. We need to see some progress with this tariff stuff. Otherwise, I just don't see a pump of any significance happening. So VeChain is interesting. If there was... So, all right, if I were to make a list of cryptos that I'd be okay buying right now, I would say VeChain, Sui, even though Sui is highly inflationary, just given the zone where it is and given how oversold we are. So VeChain, Sui, maybe Tron, maybe Binance. Other than that, nothing. Yeah, BNB, it's just been in a range for quite a while, for over a year, and it's at the bottom of that range. XLM and XRP are the only two left. I mean, there's nothing, same deal. But at least it's holding its 236. As of right now, at least. We'll see. Oh, that's not all-time 236. That's swing high to swing low. So maybe there's some hope with this. Maybe. But no thank you. I'm not touching it. Okay, last but not least, XRP. Lost support. Struggling to even hold the 200-day. That's depressing. I had a long for $1.96 that I had forgot. I said it a long time ago. And it filled on, yay, it filled on Sunday. And I closed half of that long at a loss and just let the rest ride. Not a ton, not a lot of money, but well, I'm down on that. I was for a brief moment today up on it, but I did not close it. So here we are now. I think this move under the 200-day will end up being a wick, but we shall see. So, you know, you want to open along right now and close it at like 185 or not 180, you know, like 190 or something. Knock yourself out. But I'm not going to. I'll just keep what I have and probably close at a loss eventually. I think it's going to 150. Yeah, probably. I mean, after losing a range, you know, losing $2 XRP, it would make sense for XRP to go to $1.50. So, all right, guys. I will be back with a member live stream on YouTube on Thursday, and maybe, hopefully, we'll see some kind of a recovery here, and we'll see some kind of oh, dude, look at the VIX. Yeah, Dave, I see your comment. So earlier today, the VIX dumped pretty hard, but then it's right back up. So something's going on. Something. I've looked at Bitcoin dominance multiple times, Mar, and I've already said I'm leaving. So Bitcoin dominance, just what I'm saying right now, not favorable. Looks like it's going higher. That's all I'll say. This was really kind of, you know, it was kind of a bummer. So listen, the difference between now and August 5th, this is a concern. August 5th, the VIX shot off like crazy, and then within a few days, went straight down. Right now, the VIX shot off like crazy, and it's still elevated. So hopefully something will happen soon, but personally, I just feel powerless right now. It feels like there's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And then all of a sudden, on a dime, that's why it's dangerous to short right now, is that something could turn on a dime. So, okay. I am going to be done now. Have a good one, everybody.